Excuse the background noise, but we're performing the recovery on this system now using the recovery machine to pull the refrigerant out of here. So in video number 1, I explained, you know, when we put this system in, and this unit, for the guys who see my automotive videos, this is, you know, light commercial, or it could be heavy commercial. You can actually gang these things up to 20 tons a piece and throw 3 of these units together and have a 60-ton system. If you have the bigger one, this is the smaller one. This is the baby, 72,000 BTUs. Now compare 72,000 BTU 6-ton unit to one of the standard American-made 5-ton units that are just a hair smaller. This thing is almost about 6 feet tall. This is the condenser, and on a car this would be the condenser out in front of the car, but this condenser actually bends and comes around 3 sides. As you can see, it turns the corner, it comes around here, it turns the corner, and it comes around here like this. So on a car, this would be the condenser in the front of your vehicle. See, we pulled out 14 pounds right now. We have 16 pounds we added for the amount of refrigerant line that we have. And the unit itself holds 20 pounds on this particular model. It is shipped from the factory with 20 pounds of refrigerant in it. Now, for you guys in the automotive field, some of you know that the Prius Prime has introduced a heat pump system on their cars for Toyota. And in a heat pump system, you have a reversing valve. On the Prius Prime on the car, I have one of my videos on the Prius Prime. If you search for it, you'll find it. They use solenoids to change the refrigerant flow in the Prius Prime. In a lot of HVAC equipment, they use what's called a reversing valve or a 3-way valve, and they use the solenoid to grab hold of a magnetic on a metal plug that's in here, a valve that will actually pull to one side when the solenoid is energized, and it will reverse the flow of the path of refrigerant from one side to another, so the system can turn from cooling to heating. And so what it essentially does for the guys in the automotive who don't know how that works yet, we all know when we put our hand on the front condenser in a car, it gets very hot, and we have the cold air coming out of the evaporator under the dash. Well, when the reversing valve is energized, it switches the refrigerant flow, and now the hot gas will go to the evaporator under the dash of a car and become hot. This is what the Prius Prime does. And the cold gas, which you guys normally associate, your condenser gets cold. And so if you put your hands in the front condenser on a Prius Prime, when it's in heating mode, you'll have a cold condenser and you'll have a hot evaporator. And that's how it works. You use a combination of different transducers and other solenoid valves for changing the flow of gas. This is your distributor for distributing the refrigerant to the individual cooling tubes going all the way up the condenser on the inside. So there's a bunch of parallel flow where every time you see a tube coming in off of this, it only feeds so many rows of the condenser, and it breaks the load up in equal amounts throughout the whole length of the condenser, going all the way down to the floor. Here is the condenser, or no, the compressor, located inside kind of a sound deadening box, so it's quiet. This is an accumulator. The reservoir way back here, let's see if I can get in there. This is the large accumulator. As you can see, it's sweating because we're moving some refrigerant out of the system. And this is where the extra stored refrigerant is inside this large unit inside here. All the brains are located up behind this box here. You probably won't see that until my next video in several months, when this gets relocated and installed at a new location. And you can see the wrap around here as this coil comes around this face. turns around the corner, comes around here, goes around the corner, comes around here. So imagine the front of a car. If you wrap a condenser coil around, it would be coming around where the fenders are. So I got just hitting 15 pounds of refrigerant moved. Once I get to 16 pounds, that's our adder. We shut it off and close off the valves. And then the system itself will have 20 pounds of refrigerant still inside of it. And that was the factory charge. Because when we move the system to a new location, there'll be a different length of line set going to each head. So we'll either have to add or subtract, well, add more refrigerant depending on the length. So coming over to room 1, where we were before, this is the paperwork we leave with our units. And so we use the software to show and indicate, here's 70,000 BTU outdoor heat pump unit. In room number 1, right here, located up on the ceiling, we have a 24,000 BTU unit air handler. In the second room, we have a 54,000 BTU unit. In the third room, we have a 54,000 BTU unit. Now, all this added together greatly exceeds the outdoor unit's capability. You can never run all of these at full capacity because it just would not do the job. But every one of these rooms are separated and they're on timers. And at any time, there's never more capacity calling for heating load than what the outdoor unit can deliver. It's usually always less, no matter what. Usually somewhere in the 50s, 50-some thousand BTUs, maybe almost 60. Only on the hottest days, like here in San Jose, say it was a record-breaking day and it was 105 degrees. Would this ever get taxed out? And it would only be for those few days, and then you would be back down to normal operation. This system has the ability to over ramp itself and actually produce more in short peak periods of times just for emergency to keep up. That is the good thing about these systems, unlike American-made systems that can't do that, incapable of doing that. That's why these are so good. These are extremely energy efficient. And it's only one pipe comes off and feeds this entire system using branching hardware, piping like water. In your house, you would have your mains coming from outside in the sidewalk, go through your house, and your toilet and your shower and your sink would all branch off of one line of water. That is how this works with refrigerant. Coming back into room number 1, and we go up here. Here's our 24,000 BTU old style cassette, low profile. God dang it, I can't remember the name of this particular setup. But this is not the cassette insert one. They have another low profile, I can't think of it right now. That feeds the first room. So that's 24,000 BTUs. Then coming over to the second room, this was their newer thermostat, what you could hook up to the internet, and it has some other diagnostic features that the older thermostats don't have. This one has the newer Panasonic designation on it after Sanyo and Panasonic in 2012 merged. This is the 54,000 BTU medium static pressure air handler. Sorry for there's no lights, but the power has been disconnected to this part of the building. So this is medium static pressure. This is the air filters. I gave them the specifications, what they wanted to do. They were kind of tight on budget, so they kind of went down on what I recommended initially. What I recommended initially on this system with their system here was, instead of 1-inch pleated air filters, to use 5-inch pleated air filters that were MERV 16. And you would turn them, instead of being horizontal, you would turn the filters vertically. You'd get the ones that are 20 inches by 30 inches. So you have 4 of them, so you'd have 80 inches going across by 30 inches of 5-inch deep pleated MERV 16 filters. And the reason you want so much ridiculous amount of surface area because you're using MERV 16. MERV 16 has a real high static pressure drop, but that's the reason you don't use 1-inch filters or 2-inch filters. You go to 5-inch deep pleated and you're increasing your surface area. And by going to 4 filters, you increase your surface area so you don't have a high static pressure duct. And you measure your high pressure static duct. For the customer, what you usually do, in the side there, you would mount one of the manometers, the old style analog meter, very reliable, or one of the liquid filled, oil filled ones where you see with the red fluid for measuring static pressure. You hook up one of those so your customer can actually read the static pressure buildup. As the dust accumulates on the filter surface area, it starts plugging up the surface. The customer or yourself cannot see that amount of dirt, just like skin dandruff and really small stuff. If anybody burnt sulfur, sulfur is a yellowish white particle in the air that clogs the filter. But because of its color, you can't see it. It looks white. And then you get high static buildup and the unit cannot flow the airflow it needs to. And that will greatly reduce your efficiency and your cooling ability. Coming over here to room 3. Now here was one of the original old throw-offs from the Saniel. This was back when 2012 Saniel sold out and merged with Panasonic. And here's the third unit, identical to the other room over there, so I don't need to explain and repeat exactly how that operates. And as you can tell how long ago I put this in because these were from 2012.